do the roof on that thing. Hey, remember that white cool seal? It keeps the place a lot cooler during the summertime. You put that white reflective coating on that roof up there, and put it on thick, man. You know, don't spare it none. But yeah, that was one of the tricks I did. I had a mobile setup trailer that I was using for ham radio in New Mexico. And it had the regular galvanized roof on it. And that dude was just, it was crazy hot on the inside. But I did white out the roof with some of the cool seal and made it 100% better as far as temperature and reflecting a lot of that heat where it didn't soak into the metal up there. Anyway, we're going to take a run this morning. Got a few things we need to get into, and you know, as far as well, just doctors and stuff this morning. So that's what we're going to be into today there. So I'm actually home this morning. Anyway, with that, let's see, what did I send it the last time? Well, I sent it to you, Kevin. So, well, let me check with Perry and see if Perry's made it back. And if Perry hasn't made it back, I guess Frank pick it up. W3MMR and W3SCR. Here is KD4UMU.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. W3MMR. Was having some radio problems. My non started going haywire over here. I had to shut down the software. Then when I opened it back up, when I would key up, I didn't have any transmit audio for some reason. So I tried closing it again and opening it back up. It still didn't work, so I had to close it and then restart the radio itself to power off the radio itself, and then, excuse me, power it back on, and I think everything is, I believe everything's going out the antenna now, so sorry about that, guys. Anyway, you gotta love these SDRs. Great technology, but boy, these Anons are finicky. Especially, I'm running a beta software. It's still in development. They're updating it. Seems like 2 or 3 times a week. So I'm still working out all the bugs. But anyway, real quick on the antenna launcher, Dan. I'm using a it's a pneumatic antenna launcher. You know, your basic expansion tank into an electronic. It's a 1-inch inlet, 1-inch outlet, electric valve, 12-volt valve. Well, it's a 24-volt valve, but I use a 12-volt, 20-volt drill battery that I have. I use a hose clamp it to the expansion tank, and then it goes into a half-inch barrel, and I use 1 ounce or 30 gram fishing weights. Could just use one of them and slide that down a barrel, and then I have a fishing reel attached to the launcher itself as well, with 30-pound test. This real bright fluorescent orange fishing line, and it works okay. I honestly would like to try a different type of projectile, maybe something a little bit on the lighter side. I see a lot of guys use tennis balls with some of the, you know, the antenna launchers that are $200 or $300 that I'm sure are well worth the money, but I just didn't. I couldn't get myself to spend that much money on an antenna launcher when I hopefully don't have to use it that much, you know. But I tried a wrist rocket before, and well, I actually tried it the other day as well, and it seems like every time I had a fishing reel attached to the bottom of it, it seemed like every time I tried to use it, when I would go and and let go and go to fire it, the fishing line would get wrapped around the band, the rubber band of the slingshot, or it would get wrapped around the frame of it. It would probably take 30 tries to get one shot off. So it became quite annoying. So I gave up on it. But I did actually buy a wrist rocket for that purpose. But I didn't have as good a luck as as you guys did, and also tried. I had Mason's line, zigzagged out on the yard and tried, slinging that up there with the wrist rocket. That didn't work. It would get caught in the damn band every time, and so that's when I went to Lowe's and bought all new stuff to build a whole new antenna launcher, since mine was leaking. So I just, like I said, went to Lowe's, bought all new stuff, and was able to get the antenna up there. And the antenna I'm using, it's 125 foot doublet, 600 ohm ladder line fed, up about 50 feet to the apex in an inverted V, and either end is about 15 foot off the ground, and it's oriented broadside, northeast, southwest, broadside. So seems to work real well here on 75 meters. Works great on 20 as well into Europe. I get great reports into Europe on this antenna. Worked many VKs with this antenna down to Australia on 40. I had a G5RV up before this for the upper bands, and had a half wave dipole here on 75 meters, which is only up about 30 feet. And the G5RV was up about 40, both in an inverted V. And this thing seems to outperform both of those hands down on every band that I use it on. So I'm very happy with it. And being where I live on this little postage stamp in the city, one antenna for all those bands really kind of helped with consolidating things and making the yard look a little better. I have a 10 meter Yagi on the roof, a 4-element 10 meter Yagi on the roof, and then an IMAX 2000 for 10 and 11 meters on top of that as well. So that's the situation over here. So over to you, Kevin. Sorry for jumping in there, monopolizing it, but I am back. KK4GZQ in the group, W3MMR.
Interesting stuff. W3MMR in the group, KK4GZQ, and Best 73 to WB8DMX, Kevin over in Columbus. Wish I would have had a better copy on him this morning, and maybe he'll continue to jump back in here and we'll get some band conditions here before too long that's suitable for everybody. That'd be great. And good morning again to KI4HHK Bruce down in Tampa, St. Pete. I think Bruce had the sun run off as well. Now, I'm going to try to turn it back to Frank, but or back to Dan, but I think Dan was trying to get out. I'll just kind of make it short here. And you guys talking about, he was talking about going to the doctor this morning. And good luck with that, Dan. I just got a great report from my doctor, the best I've had in 25 years. That's the best feeling in the world. As you get older, Perry, you'll start realizing that. I'm just now starting to become a member of the old farts club here. Anyway, and that's great that antenna works so well on 20 meters. Into Europe, 40 meters Australia, and that you're able to work all the bands you have there in a residential setting there, Perry. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and try to turn it back to Dan, because I know he's wanting to get out, and see if there's anybody else out there. KD4UMU with W3MMR, KK4GZQ. You still around, Dan? Over.
Okay, very good there, Tim. Very good. And yeah, we're going down this morning. The wife's having a little procedure down there, so that's why we're headed out early this morning. And okay, on Perry, on the antenna launching stuff down there. And yeah, like I said, the wrist rocket for launching those weights here did pretty good. And I took the fishing line and kind of just spooled it out on the ground to where I had a bunch of extra laying there, and I had to add 2 medium-sized fishing weights on there, and tape them together real good, And like I say, that seemed to operate fairly accurate. And yes, I did have to hold the wrist rocket over sideways so that when I launched that dude, the string did not, or should I say the fishing line did not come in contact with the wrist rocket itself after launch. So that worked out pretty good. And after two launches, boy, I got my aim down pretty good, so I could sail that thing up and over into the trees fairly easy over whichever branch I wanted to. So that worked out good, and we really needed to do that at my brother-in-law's house. He put up a dual band double bazooka for 80 and 40, and it's all hung in between trees. So we had to put pulleys up into the top of the trees to pull the antenna up, and then counterbalance weights to hold weight on the antenna, and then that way the tree can move, and the weights would move up and down, and we had that on 4 elements or 4 legs doing all this. So it was a pretty extensive setup, but man, it all worked out great, and the antenna's up and doing pretty good. Did some changing around here on the antenna configurations a little bit. I used to have my folded dipole here for 75 underneath my log periodic. The downside to that is I know for a fact I had mutual coupling to the log periodic. So I did try a 160 meter twin lead fed antenna for a little bit, and found out that I did not have enough tuner to handle that. So that all came down, and I threw up a double bazooka for 160, and that seems to load up and do just fine underneath that log periodic. And then, of course, I took my 75-meter folded dipole, and it is now 200 feet behind the house back there in some clean air. So nothing around the folded dipole now. So it should actually work pretty good there. Well, anyway, guys, I do need to jump out. Thanks for letting me jump in here and chat with you guys a little bit this morning. And don't know if Bruce had signed out this morning in Florida or what's going on there, but Perry, I'll leave it in your hands and let you do the direction there. So hey, all you guys have a great day out there, and thanks for letting me jump in and shoot the breeze a little bit this morning. W3MMR, and Kevin, great news on your report from the doctor there. Man, I tell you, that's real good news. And W3MMR in the group 73 from KD4UMU. Good morning.
Yeah, all right, Dan. KD4UMU in the group W3MMR. I don't hear Bruce in there, so I'm guessing I guess he signed. Have a great day, Dan, and very good on the double bazooka on 160 there in the folded dipole, out in clean air now. I was just checking out your QRZ page as you were saying that, and log periodic's a big antenna, and all that ice on there in 2014. I wonder if you had I guess next time I'll talk to you, if you remember, I wonder if you had any damage during that ice storm. I see, looks like one of your masts is kind of fallen over there. I just wonder if you had any serious damage during that storm. I hope not, but I guess it would come to be expected with all that ice. That's one thing about up here. We'll get snow. We'll get a decent amount of snow here in southeastern Pennsylvania, but we don't get the ice that it seems like you guys get there in Kentucky, and you know, down around Tennessee and North Carolina and Virginia. It seems like you guys get inundated with a lot more ice than we do, but we also get more snow than you guys do. But it seems that as the years go by, we're getting less and less snow. Things are warming up climate-wise, and we just don't get as much snow as we used to. So I guess that's the way things go when the years go by, and global warming and all that crazy stuff. Whether you believe in it or not, something's changing. I'm not smart enough to pinpoint it, but something's definitely changing in the world we live in. But anyway, Kevin, real good news on the doctor. Real happy to hear that. Your best report you've got in 25 years. Well, 2 thumbs up on that, man. I bet that takes a big load off your back and allows you to concentrate on fun things rather than the worry of health concerns. You know, you have more time to focus on work and things outside of work and radio and having to worry about going to doctor's appointments and having this procedure and taking this medicine and taking this at this time. And like my father always tells me, his medicine is working out. His exercise is his medicine. He's 68 and doesn't take any daily prescriptions. I think he takes a multivitamin. I believe that's it. And you know, a pain pill every now and then for his back. But besides that, he's got a great bill of health and walks his 5 to 10 miles every day. Sometimes when he's into riding his bike, 20, 30 miles a day. And you keep moving, and you know, you got to use it or lose it, I guess they say. Anyway, back over to you, Kevin. Take care, Dan. And hope you have a great day. And back over to you, Kevin. KK4GZQ in the group, W3MMR.
KN4HH. Bob, why don't you jump in, and maybe while Dan's still listening, you can say 73. KN4HH with W3MMR and KD4UMU sign. 73, Dan. Go ahead, Bob. Over.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. KK4GZQ in the group, KN4HH. First of all, I'd say you've been on KD4UMU. It's been a good while. It's been a great day today. Good morning to you. You also have a really nice signal. A lot better than yesterday, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that link on the Facebook page, Perry. That was great to hear. Hear the signal down there. That was really cool. So I appreciate that. Okay, nothing new to tell here. Just flew around with the ICOM 7300 this morning on the SPE Expert Linear, running about 300 watts carrier this morning. Over to you, Kevin. Band sounds a little better today. KK4GZQ, KN4HH.
Okay, Bob. KN4HH with W3MMR, KK4GZQ, and I'll tell you, the band, you started off just really strong, but the band was taking a kind of a fade when you handed it to me, Bob. Nonetheless, you were still copyable. And Perry, you and Dan were talking about, and good morning to you, Bob. And Perry, you were talking about the slingshot and the wrist launcher, or wrist rocket versus, and I've tried a lot of different ways to launch a line. Bob's heard this story before. I've been to Florida and taken this same setup that I'm getting ready to take with me down there to Saturday. We're headed down to St. George Island, right off the coast of Apalachicola, Perry, and be taking a Kenwood TS570D. Anyway, I've set it up on several different locations. Once at Land Between the Lakes over here in western Kentucky. I've set it up at Chassahowitzka. What's a tough one to say. Right there in Florida, right north of Tampa, St. Pete. Fort DeSoto Island, right there out in the mouth of Tampa Bay. And this will be my second time setting up at St. George Island there. And I got to tell you, I got a lot of learning trying to get an antenna up through a canopy of trees, all the live oak and tropical trees and whatnot, palms and whatnot they have. And Perry, the first year that I went down there, I didn't think about getting the antenna or how I was going to get it up in the trees that much. But I found a way. I took an old pair of tennis shoes with me, and I didn't care if one of them got hung up in the tree. So I got pretty good at firing that old tennis shoe with a line attached to it to get my center support for the antenna. Anyway, yeah, we get a little bit more ice down here in Kentucky than we do snow, than you guys get, that's for sure. And I've got a 4-element quad antenna out here that's built for 11 that works well on 10, 12, and 15 meters as well. And it's at about 62 feet, and that quad is very subject to ice, Perry. but it's built pretty well. It's held up to what's been thrown at it so far. And okay on Frank's exercise is Frank's medicine, and he's taken a multivitamin and rides bikes and walks quite a bit, and I think that's real important. So, and I'm not sure of Frank's age, but he sounds like he's doing very well.
Yeah, I know he gives a lot of his time, volunteers time at several different places there locally, so he's to be commended for that. Up to you, Perry. Good morning again, Bob. W3MMR to take it. KK4GZQ in the group.
KK4GZQ in the group with KN4HH, W3MMR. Yeah, he does, he's 68, Kevin. Father's 68. And he does, I do commend him for all the volunteer work that he does now that he's retired. Volunteered at the animal hospital with the cats, and volunteering in the emergency room at the hospital. And, you know, he's a real social type person, you know, and especially now that he had a kind of a falling out there with his now ex-wife, and who he was married to for about 20 some odd years, and you know, keeps his mind off of things, keeps him busy, because you know what they say, idle hands is the devil's playground, you know, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and always has a real good attitude about things. But you know, we could all use you know, certain things to keep our minds busy, to keep our minds off of other certain things, you know. So he's I really look up to him. You know, he's been a big role model in my life, and we've become real close over the past 3 years or so. We weren't that close for a very long time, and went without talking to each other for a very long time, and we both kind of buried the hatchet, and you know, both looked at it as, you know, life's too short to hold grudges and worry about the little things, and family's more important, and you know, we're all not going to be around forever, so you might as well make the best of the time that we do have together, and you know, and enjoy it. So we've grown to be real good friends. Talk every day, multiple times a day. There doesn't go one day without us talking. We don't go one day without at least saying something to each other about something. So we have a real good relationship. So I really look up to him. Anyway, that's interesting about the tennis shoe antenna launcher. That's definitely the first time I've heard of anyone using a pair of tennis shoes as a center support for their antenna and slinging them up into the tree. But hey, man, whatever works, you know, works. And I hope you have, I'm sure you'll have a great time down there in Apalachicola and in Florida. It's a beautiful area down there. I've never been, but I know people who have. I spent a lot of time in the Charleston area, South Carolina, and living down there myself, and living down south, and it's two different worlds than living up here, I'll tell you that. When people ask me to describe what it's like down there, I said, just literally take things, everything that you know about up here, throw it out the window, and slow things down. and that's the South, and everybody's really so nice down there, and there at times I do miss it, but I just couldn't make any money down there, unfortunately. And I have no family down there besides my son. I have an 8-year-old who lives down there with his mom, and but besides that, I don't have, all my family's up here. Everything I know is up here, and you know, of course, it sucks, you know, being away from my kid. But with the new technology we have, and FaceTime, and you know, things like that, and where I could just literally feel like I'm right there in the room with him when he's on the other side of his phone, and sit there and watch him play video games, and you know, he'll call me every morning before he goes to school, before he gets on the bus. He calls me when he gets home, you know, at 2:46 every day. Technology makes, you know, living apart so much easier. So anyway, over to you, Bob. Good morning to you. Definitely better band conditions this morning. Yesterday was brutal, and no problem on the videos. I love doing it. I try to record, you know, make recordings for people, and any chance that I get, and share them with any way that I can. And so it's definitely no burden for me to do it. So over to you, Bob. KN4HH and the fine group here, W3MMR.
Okay, good deal, Perry. W3MMR with KK4GZQ, KN4HH. I'll tell you what, I'm one of those old users, Perry, that finally decided that life is too short. So you make of it what you can, and you are making of it what you can. So my hat's off to you, Perry. No, wonderful situation sounds like you're in now. So keep it up. You're fortunate. All my family's out in California. I'm a transplant. I'm a Californian. That's where I started my life and started my ham radio life, as a matter of fact. And haven't lived there since 1964. That's when I left and never came back. Anyway, there's a lot to be said for being able to live near family for sure. But like you say, technology does help out a lot now when you can stay in touch. Well, Kevin, I got a suggestion for you. When the tree guys were out here taking these trees down, and I asked him to put my antenna back up, he used what's called a throw pouch. I'm sure you've seen them. In fact, I think you can buy them at the home goods store, the Home Depot, or whatever. And that guy was a miracle worker with that throw pouch. He put a light-duty cord line on it, and he hurled that thing right up in the tree. First shot exactly where it needed to be. So don't know, but you might want to consider that one of those little, I think they're called throw pouches. It's a little pouch that has weights in it. I'm not sure what it is. It might be little lead pellets or something. But boy, I tell you what, all you got to do is just give that thing a good run around and hurl it, and it'll get up there pretty darn high. Just use some light-duty cord or whatever, nothing real heavy-duty, so it won't drag the path down as it's traveling through the air. But they work pretty darn good. So just a thought there. I know you're getting excited. Just wow, 3 days. 3 days and you'll be on the road, Kevin. So we're anxious to hear you. We heard you last time you were down there, so I'll bet you we're going to have a good signal from you this time. Back over to you, Kevin. By the way, guys, just for information, it's 69 degrees down here this morning, and we're going to hit a high of 72. So another nice day. KK4GZQ, KN4HH.
Good signal here. KN4HH with W3MMR, KK4GZQ. And real good. Okay, I got some notes on what you talked about there, Bob, on the throw pouch. I'll have to look into that. And it sounds interesting how you hurl that. And I use paracord. And I'm going to go buy some extra paracord to throw in my box with my antenna, just in case. It seems like little by little you end up losing some of that just due to different things. Anyway, and Perry, good story about you and your dad. And I've moved closer to all my family, my brother, my mother, my stepfather, my dad. They're not going to. Everybody's not going to be here forever. So it's best that you get close to them while you can and have no regrets. And sounds good. And like you, I stay in touch with my mother by text and emails, and on the phone with her at least 3 or 4 times a day. So anyway, real good guys on everything. And yeah, getting excited, looking forward to it. Bob, I pulled off my last job here yesterday. I don't think I'm going to work anymore this week. And then we're just going to start prepping from this point on till Saturday. So I'm going to go get a haircut, got to make a run to the store for maybe a couple of pair of shorts, new shorts or something like that, and get ready to roll here. So we hope the weather is going to be clear. I know there was a system in the Gulf there moving across Texas and Louisiana and across the Panhandle and whatnot. We're hoping all that's going to be out of the way by the time we get there on Saturday afternoon. So with that, back over to you, Perry, and I see that K4JCP is listening here on the web SDR in Massachusetts. Maybe Joe's going to jump in any time now. So back up to you, Perry. W3MMR with the group, and Bob, I'll check out that throw pouch. KK4GZQ.
Yeah, just drug my feet, see if Joe wanted to jump in there. Good morning, Joe, if you're listening at the moment on the web SDR, which is W3MMR. I know what Bob's talking about with those they call them throw bags or throw pouches. Arborists use them. Tree guys use them. I'm actually I'm getting a link together now, Kevin. I'll message it to you on Facebook. I was actually thinking about going that route. You can buy different sizes, whether they be 8 ounces or 6 ounces up to 12 ounces, and arborists use them, and they use these big sticks. It looks like a big slingshot. It's like a 6-foot fiberglass pole with a slingshot on the end of it, and they work phenomenal. And I'm sure you can use it without the slingshot, depending on how high you want to get it up there. But I used it for my antenna. I just used the launcher for the apex because it's up about 60 feet. There's no way I could throw anything up that high to get it up in the tree. But for the one leg is up in another tree, and to get that line up, what I did was, so I'm an auto mechanic and I have buckets of bolts everywhere. And I used a big bolt and tied it to a piece of paracord. That's what I used for my antenna line, and just basically slung it up there. Stood with my back to the tree and kind of, got a good swing on the thing and slung it back behind my head and was able to get the line a good 20-25 feet up in the tree. So, like I said, depending on how high you want to get it up there, you don't even need the slingshot. And these bags work great. They're weighted. I don't know if they have sand in them or what they have. They're very durable. A lot of times they come with line, fluorescent line, and so like the whole deal there. And I only live 2 blocks from my mother, Kevin. She lives 2 blocks away from me, so she's always coming down here, knocking on my door, or I see her just about every day. Or, there was a time in my life where it took a while for me to get. I went through a real tough time in my life, battling addiction, and I've been clean and sober now for almost 6 years. And it was a real tough time, and my mother watched my dog for me while I was trying to get my stuff together. And so it's like I have split custody of my dog now. So she'll have my dog for a couple days, and then I'll have my dog for a couple days, and so she'll drop dinner off some nights, and so it's nice having your mother live around the corner, especially when you don't feel like cooking dinner. You just get down to Mom's house and go raid the fridge. Is real nice. So I'll go ahead and send this link over to you, Kevin, and see what you think. It gives you an idea and of what to look for there. So back over to you, Bob. And real good on coming from California, being a transplant. Kind of bummer about being away from your family, but I don't know if I could live in California. My sister lived out there for a short time. It's just so expensive. I bet it wasn't quite as expensive back in the 60s, but right now it's just a little too expensive for my taste. Anyway, back over to you, Bob. KN4HH in the fine group here, W3MMR.
Okay, good deal, Perry. W3MMR, KN4HH, very good. Well, I won't live out there again. I'll tell you what, every time we go out, my parents have all passed, and I have a brother out there. And his family, and I'll tell you, after 3 or 4 days, Perry, it's time to come home. It really is. I was born and raised there, but I don't really consider that my home anymore. That's a shame to say, but I lived in Santa Monica, which is a beach town right in Southern California, and it's just really going for the dogs. It's really tough. So I have no desire to ever go back there for anything more than a visit, for sure. So. Well, there you go, Kevin. Now, as you can see, there's a variety of ways to get antennas up. So there's all kinds of different ways to do it. So I know you'll come up with something, but just get a nice wire up in the tree, and I'll bet you we'll hear you for sure. That sounds great. Well, Perry, as Kevin and I both said, that's really wonderful that your relationship, because when my dad passed, we were actually actually, we became closer about the last 10 years of his life than any other time in our lives. It was just kind of a strained relationship, but then we came together real close. In fact, closer than it's funny, my brother and my mom were close, and I and my dad became close. That's just the way it worked out, but every day I wish there was something else I would have said or done, but that's okay. You've got the time and the opportunities, and I know you take advantage of it. So good deal for that. All right. Let's see. And a good deal on getting ready. That's great. Yeah, that's a good deal. Just take a few rolls off, Kevin, get yourself squared away, and get ready to roll, and that'll be a nice trip down this way. I was looking at the map, and I kind of think I know how the way you come down. And that's looks like an interesting place. I've never been down on that island there, down on that stretch of land. I've been north of it, of course, across Florida that way, but that'll be fun. I wish it was a little bit closer. I'd like to come down and see you, but that's a pretty good run for me. That's a 6-hour trip for me. But fortunately for some of the guys down there, like Art and Joe, that should work out. And speaking of Joe, maybe he'll pop in here. I'm going to bring up one of the STRs. I use it for the 40 years. We've got a situation here out in 2 or 3 single side. 3 of us are with we rely on the K4JCP mostly, and then the guys out in Texas and in Tennessee, we hear them just fine, and the guys in Illinois. So that's where we're living now. Back to you, Kevin. KK4GZQ, KN4HH.
KN4HH for W3MMR, KK4GZQ. Real good, guys, on everything, and I appreciate your efforts. And Perry, thank you for the link that you're sending. And I'll get back over there on Facebook and check that out shortly. And you guys talking about the throw pouch and the arborist with the 6-foot fiberglass pole with and without the slingshot. Good deal on all that, guys. I had no idea, but it makes sense. You know, that makes good sense to me, and it gives me a better idea to where to maybe try to locate and find one of those. I wonder if Home Depot or Lowe's. You know, I'll check into that as I'm out running here today. I'll be near a Home Depot, especially today, so I might run in there and just check it out. I could always use a few little things out of there. And boy, Perry, when Perry was talking about being a couple of blocks away from Mom and the home cooked meals and there with the dog and everything, it reminds me of about that time in my life at about 30 years old when I lost a girlfriend to a tragic accident, Perry. And boy, did it ever turn my life upside down. And I got into some things after that you know, I don't like to admit to or whatever, but I had to move past them and get through them and get on to a better life. And I've been living that now for, gosh, I've been on the straight and narrow now for many, many years, probably 15 years. But she died about 25 years ago, and there was about a 10-year span that I had my problems. So you keep up the good work up there and don't look back. Anyway, I think that's all I got from this round. I'm going to go ahead and probably sign on my next one, and I'll send it back your way, Perry. And thanks for the ideas on getting it. I'm not real sure on this particular trip whether I'm going to need a slingshot or not. I'm going to try to make the center support off that back deck, and then I've got some tile points back in a vacant lot toward the Atlantic Ocean, toward the Gulf of Mexico, and then in the front yard there's a tree to tie to there. Several of them I can try to tie to there. So check out, guys, if you want to, just for kicks and giggles here. Check out the Burb's Nest, B-U-R-B, the Burb's Nest. It's Bravo Uniform Romeo Bravo, the Burb's Nest, St. George Island. And you'll get an actual look at the property, where the house that we're going to be in. So check that out, see what you think. Back up to you, Perry. W3MMR with KN4HH, KK4GZQ.
K4JCP.
Yeah, there he is. Good morning, Joe. K4JCP, W3MMR. I won't hold it here, Joe. I'll get it right over to you. And then I guess you could turn it back over to me. So good morning to you, K4JCP in the group, W3MMR.
N4JK.
W3MMR group, K4JCP. Good morning, Terry and Kevin and Bob and now Art. I think that's into the group right this minute. Good morning all the way. Do the next little short adjustment here. Kevin, you told me listening in for armchair copies are read, Kevin, but Bob, I'm going to listen through the SDR up there. So anyway, good morning all the way around. We're on the 129 minutes. Everybody sounds good. You are a little slow up there. Followed by a quarter inch of rain on us. That was it. It was right on through. Just kind of anyway, let me go ahead and turn it over to Art, and then it goes back up to Terry up there, W3MMR. Again, good to hear everybody. Kevin, looking forward to you getting down this way to the burbs now. Look that up here just a second. Art, I see you survived the sprinkle last night. N4JK in the group, K4JCP.
Good morning, Joe. K4JCP in the group and N4JK. Let's see, let me check the tuning. That'll do. Yeah, we got a little more rain, Joe. We got about 1.5 inches. And it was probably one. Looks like from the weather station between about 8 and 10 o'clock it poured down here. That was it. We had a power hit. And I just realized that everything hasn't returned to the normal operating. I'm not connecting it to my logbook right now. Figure out how what needs to be retweaked. So it sure took a long time for that little bit of rain, didn't it? Wait for it all day and then went through. Kevin, it sounded like you get all squared away and you're ready to hit the road. And hope you found what you need over there at Home Depot. I know you can come up with a good way of getting answers. Good morning to you, Terry. I can see your signal come in. I haven't really heard you yet. And I got to get the video SDR up for Bob. I know I'm not here again. Let me throw it up your way and see what happens here. I've got my coffee. just about to get started. Hopefully I can wake up. W3MMR in the group from N4JK.
Hey, good morning, Art. N4JK in the group, W3MMR. I'm going to make this my last one. I'm going to make some breakfast, and before I got to head, get ready to head to the old salt mine there around 7:30. So it's definitely been fun this morning. This has been a great morning for operating up here in southeastern Pennsylvania. Really good band conditions. Everything's very quiet. I'm copying everyone direct, not using the web SDR at all. And for the first time, and I can't even remember how long. I don't know if you guys have heard me talking about it before, but I've had an interference situation with a neighbor the past for quite some time. Probably for the past year. My noise level, my noise floor here on 75 meters has been about 10 over S9 or higher at times. And I was able to narrow it down to a neighbor 2 doors down from me. I called the power company out here a few times. The first time they thought it was a pole right across the street from my house. They replaced the pole, the transformer, all the hardware on it. Didn't have any effect. And then had them out here again. But before that, I was able to narrow it. I thought it was coming from outside of my neighbor's house, and then I got the power company out here, and then they determined that it was coming from inside the house. So I contacted the neighbor, and he's been absolutely wonderful. Kind of wish I would have done this a lot sooner, but it turned out to be a subwoofer, a very nice Velodyne subwoofer of his, that is causing interference all the way down to the broadcast band, clear up to 40 meters. And once I, approached him about it, he's had the subwoofer unplugged and off, so my noise floor has been down to below an S9 for the past week or so, which is a big difference from 10 over S9 to S9 or a little bit below. Is a heck of an improvement. And now I'm able to copy just about everyone, especially here in the mornings. It's very quiet. So I'm a happy camper, and I'm going over there actually today after work. Bought some Mix 31 ferrite from Palomar, and I'm going to go over there and hopefully get his subwoofer back on for him and take care of the interference at the same time. But anyway, I looked up that the house, Kevin, the Burbs. That is beautiful. The Burbs Nest. It's a beautiful property. If it's the one I'm looking at here on 616 East Pine Avenue, St. George Island, Florida. Looks like you got a lot of nice trees there to put antennas up in. And looks like a beautiful piece of property, beautiful home, and I'm kind of jealous. I spent a lot of time down at the shore down here in New Jersey. We had a trailer a few miles from the ocean, and my grandmother had a house in Wildwood, New Jersey, about 4 blocks from the ocean. And I spent a lot of time as a kid down at the beach. So I'm a jealous guy up here, Kevin. But I'm sure you'll have a great time. And sorry about your mom and going through the rough patch that you did and being on the straight and narrow now. That's great, and you know how hard it is, to at first to get things straightened out. And like I said, I'm coming up on 6 years heroin free. Started off with a knee injury, and at the same time my wife had left, my ex-wife had left, and took my son, who was 6 months old at the time, and things went downhill very fast. And you know as well as I do how fast things can turn around, both ways though, even for the better. So everything's much better now. Things are back to normal. But what is normal, right? But anyway, we made it out on the other end, and I'm just grateful to be able to come on here in the mornings and talk to you guys. It's always fun. So you guys have a great day. Back over to you, Bob. 7-3 to everyone, and we'll hopefully catch you guys tomorrow morning. KN4HH in the fine group here. 73 everyone from W3MMR.
KN4HH. Okay, well, hope you have a good day, Perry. And again, thanks for joining us. Sure, it's great to hear you guys from up north there coming through so well. I need to check on Craig and see if he made it back to PA okay. Next Sunday, I'm not sure. But we sure enjoyed being able to chat with him as well down in the Smokies. So hopefully conditions will continue and we'll be able to stay in touch with you guys up there. And so hope you have a good day. I'm going to climb as well. I'm going to get ready for my 40-meter depth and move down that way. Joe and I have no copy here. I don't have an SDR up right now. I'm doing a reload on the computer, so I can't bring it up at the moment. But that's been camping me out 40 meters, so I'm going to get with it here. So Kevin, I'll send it over to you. Hope you have a good day, and everything goes well. So with that, I'll put 73, and Kevin, I'll let you chime up. I guess Joe and Art was just did the Joe and Art show this morning. I wish I could copy, but nothing coming through right now. So let me please everybody have a great day. KK4GZQ, KN4HH. Good morning.
Hey, Bob, KN4HH. With the group, with
W3MMR signing, KN4HH signing, bet 73 to you, Bob, bet 73 to you, Perry. And Perry, that was a girlfriend that had passed, and thank you for your condolences. I was 30 years old. It was a tough time, man. I know exactly where you're coming from and just exactly what can happen and how things can change, and then how things can change for the better. And it makes your appreciation of things become so much greater after you've endured something like that. So that's the positive aspect of it anyway, Perry. Best 73, yeah, absolutely. Pine, you had the address right there on Pine Avenue. Don't be jealous. You can go down and run it yourself sometime. It's wide open and a real good place to visit. They call it the Forgotten Coast. It's not so much commercialized over there, and I can't wait to see Art and Joe. And I don't know if they've ever been to the island or not, but I'd like to take them up to the state park and the whole 9 yards and give them a good tour of the place as well. So we'll just have to see what they want to do. Anyway, Perry, 73 to you. Bob, same to you, and back down to you, Joe. I'll hang in with you and Art for one more. Good morning, Art. A good copy on you this morning, Art. Really strong up here. And Bob just about disappeared on my receive. K4JCP with the group. 73 to those who've signed. KK4GZQ.
K4JCP. 73 to you, Bob. We saw you last time. W3MMR. Nice to also. Hope you and you both correct and just full of fighting on it up there. And Bob's not in there nice and solid also. And Art, got a little bit more of it than we did. On the fence out here. Anyway, nice smoke for it. Nothing here. A couple of rumbles of thunder way out in the distance. They're down on the beach, and they got a little bit of rain down there, but again, I don't think it was, a real issue, and it looked like it was going to be. I mean, there was plenty of yellows and reds in the radar picture there. But anyway, I think God, I guess. Here she comes. Have a good day today. Let's go to what you got going. K4JK and K4JCP.
K4JCP and from N4JK. First of all, 73 school. You there, Perry? 73 Steve Hall. Got cool doing for the computer in time to listen to 5 of this yards now.
Missed him today.
You'll have to check in twice today. I'm still having trouble getting my logs up there. That's pretty good power hit last night. It was glitched. Enough to make all the clocks flash now. But I didn't have to reset the router and hard drive and stuff like that. I got to work for a while. That's why I'm running around town. For today, Joe, I've got fixating to see the over at hospital, back down where you are, and see what her status is. Find out what the next step will be. And got to get a little bit of reading around for it, too. I don't think she's going to go in and work. She wants to get back to work. Yeah, but I don't have any plans like that. Did get out and play in the yard yesterday morning for dark. And it sure did get dark. Yeah. So I'm surprised we got so much rain when we only got this much. It's crazy. I guess it's our turn. Well, Kevin, it sounds like you've got a bunch of running around to do. I wonder if you're going to sneak a job in. I think you had one yesterday. So you might give us a rundown. And when exactly do you plan to escape from for the non-suspect? KK4GZQ in the group from N4JK.
Okay, there's Jay, KK5IM. Good morning, Jay. I'll send it out to you, and if you would send it back over to Joe, K4JCP. And Art, I've got a real good signal on you this morning. You're the strongest of the stations that are in here right now. And Art, we're leaving Saturday morning at about, hopefully get on the road by 4 a.m. And hopefully we'll arrive by 4 p.m. there on the island. I'm hoping for about 12 hours. And we'll take a route down through Nashville, on I-65, through Birmingham, Montgomery, Dothan, and then over from Dothan going toward Tallahassee. We'll drop off on 53 South, I think. It runs through the woods down to around Apalachicola. So with that, let me go ahead and pick up Jay. And I think I've covered about everything I needed to. And looking forward to seeing you guys, of course, Art, Joe. And Jay, I was concerned about you when I heard and saw in some news on my telephone that Dallas and some areas of Oklahoma and whatnot had been hit with tornadoes here within the last 24 hours. KK5IM, to take it, you'll send it to K4JCP from KK4GZQ. Good morning, Jay.